Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night from a dream where you were about to die? And you were so scared but also so thankful that the dream wasn't reality? For my mom, this wasn't a dream, it was her reality. In 1997, my parents traveled to Thailand for their honeymoon and they almost didn't make it out alive. I've heard this story many times and I've learned an important lesson that I can now share with you. My parents' near-death experience in a jungle in Thailand reminds us all to appreciate our lives and everything in them. 20 years ago, my parents went to Nam Nao, which is a national park in Thailand, and they decided they wanted to hike to something called a salt lick, which is where locals put out big bricks of salt that attract exotic animals. So they set out one morning, and as they were walking, they realized that there were no signs anywhere, and they came to a bunch of forks in the road, and at each fork, my dad would kind of walk ahead and check out both sides and see which one seemed like the better path. And this happened a lot until they finally got to a clear, wide path, and they thought they were definitely going the right way. But a few minutes into this new trail, they realized something was very wrong. There were huge chunks of bamboo kind of laid across the floor and big tree branches hanging overhead, and they were having to duck under the branches and step over the trunks, and they looked around them and realized that the previously civilized area they had been in was now a full-fledged jungle. So they were stranded in a foreign country in the middle of a jungle with a third of a bottle of water, one granola bar, and no phone or GPS. And this was the first and only moment in my mom's life when she really thought she was going to die. So they stayed there for a few hours and it was getting dark and they didn't know what to do. But suddenly, far off in the distance, they heard the sound of a car. So they devised a plan to listen for cars and then run toward the direction of the sound that they heard then. And this was risky because they knew there were tigers and poisonous snakes in that jungle, and if they went off the path, they risked basically dying. But they also knew this was the only way out. So with each car they heard, they would run toward the direction, and they eventually reached a paved road. And my mom had never been so happy to see an asphalt road in her life. So I am thankful that my parents survived this crazy experience, or else I wouldn't be here today. But their experience can also teach us all a lesson to appreciate our own lives because they could be taken in a second. So next time you have a scary dream, be thankful that it isn't reality, but also be thankful that you can get close to the feeling of almost dying because maybe that will help you cherish your own life just a little bit more.